Good morning. How are you? I know
I'm
we just saw
doing
each
so
other this past
well.
weekend. How was
Yes.
that for you?
It was a busy weekend. Most weekends are. A lot of people are like, oh, did you rest up this weekend? I'm like, oh, no.
You said nor the past weekend.
Nor the past weekend. Weekends are another work day most of the time, but that's okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
the way it is. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Saturday was delightful. A lot of wonderful people. Oh, and for all the listeners out there, I've got a really dear client that needs someone to accompany her next 2 weeks from now on an Alaskan cruise. Her daughter bailed
To
out, so
Alaska.
has to go see the Hicks presentation. It's a forum where Esther Hicks is there giving an amazing broadcast, whatever it is. I don't really know, but suppose it's supposed to be amazing. I've heard many good things, and then she does this, I believe, every other year or so. And so, if you need to go on a cruise, if you need to go short notice, if you've got an extra couple grand, hey, I've got the cruise for you. Message me. Let me get you on the boat.
It's the extra couple grand for me.
Me, I was like, if I could find the money and the time, I would be like hitching a ride to get there. You have to fly into Vancouver. So you
Oh,
fly
okay.
there, then you go on the cruise. So there's a little bit of leg work involved, but it's all right. It's all
Mm-hmm.
good. We're going to get there. And listeners and viewers, I'm going to promise you, I'm going to do my best to at least 5% of the time look right at the camera. So you don't think that I'm just staring at my belly, because that's really not where my eyes are looking. Okay.
No, but maybe that's real evidence of channeling, right? Because you're never in the present
Hey!
moment.
Woo! Here I am. Let's get it going on. Woo!
Well, I've got a question for you because I've been hearing some stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
let's do
people
it.
chatter, and
All
there's
the
a
time.
lot going on.
Yep.
So there's a new topic, a new phrase, and everybody kind of attaches themselves to the next new big thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
What is it? What's this activation stuff? Like, what is this? Because okay, I'm going to enunciate what I think it is, and then I'm going to kind of talk poorly about it because there's this idea that it's kind of this like Benny Hinn thing, right? Like that you can be like heal, and then, right? And then someone's energetic, you know, fingerprint has changed. And to
Yes.
me, that can only happen with real hard work, right?
Generally speaking, yes. What is the old fashioned term for a flick and swish?
Yeah. So there's fairly odd parents running around DFW right now.
Yes. Well, the bottom line is everything that gets out into any field, whether it's metaphysical, spiritual field, Western philosophy fields, whatever it may be. It gets tagged. Everyone wants to use it. Everyone wants to abuse it. They want to be a part of the process. They want to be a part of, the creation of it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to activation. And, I was curious. So I went and actually got the true definition of what spiritual activation is. And I actually did look at it this morning, because I just felt we needed to get a baseline here. And it truly
Mm-hmm.
means, according to the dictionary, the process involves tapping into one's own inner power and unlocking true potential. So it's more than a flick and a swish, people. Someone and anyone, no one can come up to you and go, boom, I activated you. You are good to go. Because what's going to happen eventually is that light switch is going back off, right? Unless you do some work.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
the closest legitimate equivalent that I've thought of with the shamanic practice of the soul retrieval, and
Yes.
even you, when I first met you, you said, "Hey, man." I mean, you said this very nicely, but you said, "Hey, man, this is internal work. You can't
It
really,
is.
you
Yes.
can't go." And that was an experience I had where my thought form was that somebody else could go do this work for you, to some degree, perhaps. But even that is an elongated process.
It is.
So, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to even be able to do that. And even that, we don't necessarily agree is work that should be done on behalf of another because it is
Right.
personal. It is so, yeah. So, and that's the closest we get. And that's such a practiced art. And you have people
Yes.
that are just kind of waking up one day and deciding, hey, man, I got you and your future. Chill out with me. Give me your money, potentially,
Yes.
even.
And let me get my groove on. Let me get my ego flat on my chest, right? Let's
Yeah. And now I have created for you this new
Yes.
path forward.
Right.
That's so
You,
troubling.
Well, it can be very troubling. And, I do know some practitioners that handle it a little bit more academically, a little bit more wholesomely. The bottom line with activation is it isn't a one and done. I'm not going to go in there and I was kind of teasing about the flick and switch, but a lot of
But
times
also
that's the way it's
not.
presented, right? It is presented
Yeah.
like that. It's like you are now activated, woo! And I'm like looking around for the streamers to fall down, the champagne to flow. I just won a big
100%.
prize. I'm the activated one. So when you activate
Mm-mm.
something or someone, and I really don't even like saying activating a person because that's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. You may activate an idea, an ideology. You may activate a practice. You may activate the notion that from this point forward, we're going to have a gratitude role to play rather than a pessimistic role. If you're going to create
Mm-hmm.
an activation, then you need to have a plan of action for the person to take. It's not just a
Mm-hmm.
golden star. It's actually a
Right.
notebook and a workbook of how I keep it, how to present it forward. I can tell you plenty
Right.
of people that have been presented to me that I have been activated. And I say, what does that mean to you? And they can't even tell me what it means to them because there isn't a plan. There isn't a
Well,
solution to that.
so there's some cogency to the thought that if you believe it, so it is, right? And so that's a double-edged sword, right? Because
Can be,
we
yes.
we we recognize, say, someone says, "Oh, now I have enacted this change in your energy," right?
Yes.
And so it is in perpetuity. Well,
Yes.
we as human beings, we get confused. Maybe we're like, "Oh, I want to feel empowered," right? But say that shifts, well, do you feel locked into or beheld to that process? Whatever
Exactly.
you feel might have been true. And frankly, you and I both abide by this as well. We're not that prone to allowing our energy to be entertained or messed with. So that's
No.
kind of curious as well. Somebody who's
It's
really closed down, and they say, well, I would like this anyway. It's going to be hard fought to make that so for them.
yes. Well, and that's very true too. Again, and people they want to feel it's a one and done. They want to feel that it's an easy, mix. All they have to do is, certain meditation or a certain practice,
Do
and lo and behold, now they can fly, right? They
you
can
think it's like
fly.
spiritual? Do you think it's like spiritual Ozempic?
Yes. Yes.
You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Like, let me just take this thing. We'll be good. I don't have to do any work.
Well, exactly. And I'm going to tweak a few ears on this one because when you look at what we talk about activation and again, empowering people, making them feel as if they have the skill sets that they could do all, they could do all, they can fly, they can fly.
Mm,
That's kind of what cults were
hmm.
built on. Okay. Was you
Oh
can do
no.
this, but then after a while, I'm going to tell you that you can't do it without who? Me. Do you
Oh
see the difference?
man.
Do you think about it? I'm going to activate you, but then later you won't have any other choice but to come back to me to be reactivated and to feel validated because I told you you could fly, but you can't fly without
Mm.
me. So,
That's so troubling.
well, it is troubling. And again, for all those out there that are practitioners that are really trying to activate and do the right thing, I just want to make sure you recognize at the end of your session, you're not done. If you have not given your person,
Perhaps you've just started.
perhaps you've just started because it's a responsibility. It's a
Yeah.
responsibility. My role in that, and I like to, we'll call activate. I like to bring out the light body in people. I like them to see that they can
Hmm.
bring out the light body. I can tweak it and go, hey, come on, come out and play. I know you're there. But the person themselves have to bring it out. They have to know that within them is a very light-hearted, energetic being that wants to be released. I
Well,
can't be the
and
one to tug it out of them. I can encourage them. I
hmm
can give them tools. I can give them an instruction manual. But
hmm
at the end of the day, nobody gets a gold star and graduates into activation. Okay.
Well, true. And I think that as well, we recognize that there is a lot of desire for the prophet or desire for the Messiah in us,
Yes.
in humanity. So
Yes.
then, say that you are able to engender that feeling
Right.
around you. Say you walk in
Yes.
a room and 5 out of 6 people feel better for themselves that you're there.
That you're there.
But what
Yes.
you wind up, unbeknowingly or maybe even regrettably, you develop a little bit of a following, and they may not really have your best interest in mind, and you may not really care the moment you walk out of the room that they're there or who they are. So it can create this codependency that's notable.
And it can. And you have to be very wise to that fact. And you have to also be, uh, you have to have a good heart about that,
Mm,
because we see that time and time again. And people like to be around positive people. I mean, that's a
mm-hmm.
good thing. And in the expression,
Yes.
you are the company you keep. I would hope that if I'm having a good day and we're working on gratitude journals, that you're not in a funk, drawing daggers and swords,
Ah, imagine you open that up.
Exactly. So,
Catch me on a
yes.
bad day.
And now there's
Just kidding.
fireworks and you
No.
name it, it's all there, right? It's all going to be there. The realism here is that's what we seek. We want to be in the
Mhm.
presence of people that create good feelings, good vibes, right? That's a good feeling.
Mhm.
I like to be around positive people. I like that. I like the cup half full. I've been there where the cup is half empty. Hell, I grew up with the Messiah, remember? That I had to bow to,
Right.
So I know how far amok some of these thoughts and these belief systems and these actions and these classes and directives, how far they can go amok. So if you're doing your part by being positive, if you're doing your part by being responsive, being responsible to the fact that it isn't all about you, it's truly about them, and that in your presence, other people feel aligned. They feel safe. They feel inspired. Well,
Mm,
excellent. You still don't get a golden star for making that happen to them. They do, because it takes a
very
lot of
true.
hard work for people to turn their energy around. It takes a lot of gumption. It takes a lot of effort to really go in and do the dirty work, do the hard work to be activated.
Well, also the reality is activate. I mean, that process. I mean, it has this under. I feel it has this connotation of discomfort, right? So
Yes.
you imagine, every energy is
Yes.
a tuning fork, right?
Yes.
You walk
Yes.
in a room, and your tuning fork is asking, it's demanding of yourself the truest form of you,
Right.
and then it also demands the truest form of those around you. Well, if that truest form is insecure,
Yes.
uncertain, lazy,
Yes.
unmotivated, no ambition. And I'm picking the negative only to say you will be in activation and you will not be loved for it. And that I think is a very curious thing, is that a lot of the shifts that we have to do, they're hard. If they were not hard, we
Yes.
would have done them by now. So
Yes.
those that create that energy, that kinetic energy around to create that change in people,
Yep.
you're almost damned for it. I mean, it's that Christ energy. It's that you were sacrificed, and then through your sacrifice, and I know that's, a very wild comparison, but my point just being, no one loves you for it.
Right.
I mean, no one loved Jesus until years later. So I think that
Exactly.
that's very, if you are a current activator and you are beloved and you perhaps even engender the
Mm-hmm.
terminology that creates familial ties,
Right.
right? Because that's a big thing, right? Everyone's like, well, in a past life, you were my mom. In a past life, it's like, what on this life? Have you paid your bills? Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's just focus on this
Right.
one.
Right. You
And I get
know,
very,
uh,
very cautious of people who do that.
and I agree wholeheartedly. And what I love, you mentioned Jesus. What I love about it is, whether you believe he's the Messiah, or you believe he's a prophet, whatever, and it makes no difference to me. I love you all. Whatever belief system you have, whether it's wrong or right. No.
Terry said, I'm coming in with savagery today. I'm just kidding.
Aha! This is what you get when you get 2.5 hours of sleep, right?
Oh, we love you.
But
You
no,
said you could believe in Christ or you could be wrong.
yeah. No. So the bottom line is that we do know that Jesus didn't walk around going, "Look at me, I'm a badass. I am here to save
Mm-mm.
you.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to resurrect the dead. I'm going to heal the diseased and the affirmed. I am a
Mm.
badass. I am going to do this because that's why I'm here." No, he
You
didn't
mean
do
he
that at
didn't, then
all.
he didn't run headlong at the blind man
And the blind,
and then knock him down?
right. Or he didn't do this, which is I've seen, and this drives me nuts. You
Oh
ready?
no. Yes. Oh
And now you are walking. Well, good.
no.
But
With like the
in
greatest pimp slap you've ever received in your whole life.
yes, exactly. I love it. And again, do I believe in instantaneous healing? Do I believe that the body can be resurrected, healed? And of course I do. I do in all those ways. But
But it always
people,
happens in silence and humility.
yes. And you know what's so cool about it? It should.
Mm-hmm.
Because it should be in silence. It should be something, and again, the shoulda could. Maybe that is more opinion than most people can tolerate. But the realism here is we are there in spirit, we are here on earth to
Mm-hmm.
assist, to
Right.
to apply love and let it go into all the nicks and nooks and crannies of life. We are here to do our best. We have the tools. We are, and I do feel this way. I do feel that we are all healers by nature. If you're looking at it through any faith at all, and I don't take a stand with you all on that. Um, Christ was the greatest healer of all, right? And so if that's the case and
Mm-hmm.
we were made in his image, for all of you wonderful Catholics out there that beat me up with a broom, think about it.
Not the
You are a
Catholics.
healer. You are a healer. You are made in Christ's image. You are a healer. Go get your golden star and stand on the wall so I can activate your picture. You are a healer. You can manifest those ways, those techniques
Mm-hmm.
within you much more readily because you have the gift within. So please, folks out there, I do not want you to think that you just have to show up, be present one time, one and done, and your whole world is going to change, because you will fall so fast in the back of that ditch and you will wonder what you did wrong. And
Well, and do you lose faith in spirit because you're told someone said, well, shit. I mean, your whole life is going to be better. You're going to be better.
yeah,
You're going to create this relationship with a higher, you know,
yeah,
status, so to speak. But then
it's
nothing else changes. Your husband still yells at you. Your kids still disrespect you. Life still happens. Well,
it,
then what?
well,
Do you
even,
stop having faith?
and it goes deeper than that even. That's
Just let me go back.
let me go
I
back
prefer
up.
the I prefer the ignorance.
The worst place we can put ourselves in is when we start really losing faith in ourselves.
Hmm.
And having faith in yourself is not an egotistical move. It's actually a survival technique. One must believe they are capable of living, otherwise they will start dying. Okay?
Hmm.
And so what drives me nuts, and I have gotten angry with people publicly over this. If I'm doing a service for you, if I am out there trying to heal you, to help you, to activate you, to get you to see that there is such something so much better, whatever that so much better is for you, then I have a
Hmm.
responsibility. And when I hear people do this, and I have heard it time and time again, and it drives me nuts, it's all ego. And for those listeners that do it, shame on you.
Hmm.
Because, well, I healed you. I don't know what you did after you left, but you must not have believed in it, or you didn't accept it, or you rejected it, or you don't
Oh,
want
Lord
to
have
heal.
mercy.
No,
You hear
chances
that?
are, exactly. Chances are it may not have took. You know what I mean? And it's not
Oh
that I want to
God.
blame the healer or the one being healed. It's simply a matter of fact. We don't always know how it works. So
Well,
when I
no.
see,
When you taught, oh, go ahead. So sorry.
no, you go ahead, sweetie, go ahead.
Well, when you taught me the process of like working in the light, healing, those you always said, all you have to do is make yourself present and aware and how do you say like channelable, so to speak. You just have to step out and you do none of the work. You apply it 0%. You tell it where to go 0%. You ask God and you ask, source and you say, what do they need?
What do they
And then
need?
you give it to their energy to metabolize and take what is. Because one time the craziest thought form you ever shared was you could want to send somebody healing energy, and it is their time in their story to go to the rock bottom.
Yes.
Your healing is not going to be helpful. In
No.
fact, perhaps the opposite. So at that point, you're not participating in the alignment to that. You're
Right.
messing it up. And that's an
Yeah.
arrogance thing. So something that, we don't know, if you actually stay in that healer role, there is a lack of arrogance. You just assume something
Yes.
higher than me is going to engender this.
Exactly. And if you look at it from that perspective, then you don't get the mindset of heal, damn you. I know you should heal, right? Because I told you to, right? Because this physical presence just told you heal. You know, I will tell you more than anything, and I do say this to clients, and I truly mean it when I say it. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. And again, I'm not patting myself on the back for this. I simply feel everyone should feel this way. I'm a good listener to the spirit world, and I know I am. I'm grateful for that. That's not arrogance. I'm very grateful that I can hear, and that's the way I start this little message out. Well, when I can hear and I give you information that helps you, then you do me a favor. You thank the guides. You thank the spirit world. Because if I give you, from what I hear, information that saves you or helps you or redirects you or takes you from the throes of depression and suicidal thoughts into a new realm, then thank the spirit world. I'm just the listener. If I screw up and I don't get the message out and you're just looking at me and your eyes are like huge and your mouth is opened, I probably didn't get the message out. Blame me. I probably didn't hear well, and I'll take that responsibility and we'll give it another whirl. But if you did benefit from the healing and you did get the message and you did find solace, hope, optimism in the message, don't be thanking me. I love you, but go thank the spirit world, because without them, you wouldn't be there.
I want to be like,
And that's what I
hallelujah,
really,
here we
that's
go,
my
man.
soapbox.
And that feeling of like, I have no arrogance about it because I don't receive it in a way that makes me arrogant. It feels like I'm probably wrong, is what I always think. And bless her heart and bless my heart, I told her months ago, be very mindful around, for whatever reason, around your vehicle. Felt that there was going to be an accident
Ah,
for
okay.
her.
Yep.
And I reflected on this after because I thought, what useless information, truly, because it wasn't something that she was able to necessarily put into place. And by the time I saw her Saturday, she'd busted 3 of her front teeth. She'd had, she'd had an accident by
Yeah.
her car.
Yeah.
And so that's frustrating for me when if I want to shake my fist at God or bemoan this process, it's like, we're given things. And honestly,
Yep.
85% of the time, either we
Yep.
can't apply the knowledge or
Mm-hmm.
we don't.
Or we don't. Yep.
So you kind of wind up with this, the Cassandra prophecy, right? The
Mm-hmm.
speak truth and no one believes you.
Right. True.
So the
That's
real, when you sit in this role, I've never really seen it be overtly gratifying. You get moments where you're like, oh, I'm kind of cool. I was accurate. Oh, I got this down. But more often than not, you also receive when things go poorly, like you said they might.
exactly. And when I get those messages, and those are my least favorite messages, and I tend to tell
Oh,
my
they're
client
horrible.
that. These are my least favorite messages because I'm just going to give you something that's going to make you uncomfortable. But then I
Mm-hmm.
also tell my guides, and I have a dialogue with my guides about that. I said, listen, people have a very small attention span. We do, as a collectiveness. We tend to have a short attention span. So I can't say, now forever you need to be careful around a vehicle because I see an accident or I see a condition. You have
Right.
to go, okay, you got to give me a little more feedback here. And I usually try to give a like, for the next 30 days, I'm going to suggest to you, or you've got this summer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel much past the summer, but through the summer, these are the things we should look for. Now, you did
Mm-hmm.
exactly right, and kudos to you for getting the word out. But we recognize that sometimes we have to go to the guides and go, that's not going to work. I need a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it does is it does put you in a situation where you're grateful that you were accurate. But
Mm-hmm.
attention span is just that, attention span. And she probably forgot all about it and got careless because it was an extended period of time.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that I can definitely learn because even as you say something of that nature, because I tried to not see fear, but
Right.
I just kept feeling that that was something to vocalize,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that here's what's even wilder. I felt that it had something to do with her shoes.
Ah,
She saved the shoes, and I do feel that she's going to litigate because they were recalled. Like there was some issue there.
interesting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, like there's
Yeah.
layers here
There's
that you
layers.
couldn't,
Yep.
and so then it's like, well, I'm just trying to do my best, but at the same time, you don't
Yes.
want to see fear. You want to see the event into the future, and it's not there. Yeah, so it's the layers of it is like, well, did I do the right thing?
Yep.
Because it was months out, right? It was, I
Right.
mean, but yet also because of something I said, she saved the shoes.
Yes.
So there's an element there where it's confusing. I don't know. I
But,
don't know the right answer.
and you're not supposed to, my dear.
And that's what makes me
That's,
mad when someone's like, what is it, the new thing? Earth angels. Or I'm going to enlighten you into your past life so that you can remember. It's like, that's all bullshit.
well, and the
And
thing
that's
about it too
confusing.
is, I'm telling you, if you ever read anything about Earth Angels, it's a really rough life. I sure wouldn't give anybody that gold star because to be an Earth Angel is to come and live impoverished, to live in pain, to
Hmm.
live in fear, to live in destruction, to have poor relationships, to have addictions. Because if you are identifying with humanity, you can't just come in here and smell the roses. You
Well, and
have
if
to
you're an
dig in the
angelic
trenches.
energy, well,
Yes.
if you come from either a bloodline or an energetic bloodline of that angelic energy,
Yes.
you're going to have already been that saintly energy. That is where you come from. So it's not like
Yes.
you would come here and have an experience of that where you're the pastor or you're you're not living that role. You already do. This is
Yes.
you know what I mean? So I agree with you where you say, that's such a troubled timeline. That's such a challenging, and we talked
It
about
is
it
a
in the last
challenging time
episode.
because if we,
Mm.
and again, I do have to be mindful of this because I've got several people I know that are activating angels right now. And again, if you come at
No.
it, I know if you come at it from a wholesome place, if you're coming at it because you're truly trying to help people, if you're coming at it because you have read something differently than me, because I come at it with love first, wisdom second, then you have at it.
Hmm.
I am not stepping on your toes, but I will tell you, if you are there doing it because your ego is driving you to a success story, I am on your toes because I don't feel
Yes.
that that's a good direction for 99% of the people. And
Right.
it's truly, if you want to be that energy, live that energy. You live that energy, be that energy. It isn't just a one and done. If you're going to be an angel, then I expect you to be working every food line in Texas. I expect you to
Man,
be
well,
making a difference.
and expect it to be a lonely process and expect it to be a thankless process. And if you're
Yes.
taking resources for it,
Yes.
I mean, there's a special place wherever anyone goes for that behavior because you're entrancing people. It's a little bit it's like a spellbinding thing where you just say, I can create a better version of you. Trust me to do so for you.
That's the word.
That's so
It's exactly
that's
what
how
you
you
just
drink
said.
Kool-Aid
Drink
and then
the
you got a shorter
Kool-Aid.
timeline. I
That's
don't care
drinking the
for that at
Kool-Aid.
all.
We are holders of
Mm,
energy. We take what we have been gifted with and we hold on to it and we give it out to we dole it out to you in little bits. And then the spirit
hmm.
gives us more and we dole it out more. So what that means is it's not coming directly from us in the first place. It's a spirit driven process. And again, there are many practitioners out there with really just maybe a little led astray at times. Who am I to judge? A little led astray. But there are
We are
there,
probably too
and we are
somewhere.
too. I mean, I'll tell you,
Not Leslie. I'm just kidding.
well, hey, I get thrilled when I see someone who I've worked with and they're doing better. And
Hmm.
I haven't just said you're in the ditch, get out of it. I said let's get you out of the ditch. What do we need to do? Let's get a different way of looking at life. Let's get happier. I had someone tell me the other day, she goes, tell me all the bad stuff. All you do is tell me the positive stuff. And I said to her very simply, I said, why do you need me to do that? You do it very well yourself.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And I know
Yeah.
what goes on in your head because every thought is negative. So I am not going to go feed that beast because that beast is well fed. What I'm
Yeah.
to do
It's
is
gluttonous.
It's gluttonous. I want to starve that beast because I know that you could be happier. And the person I was talking to, I knew that she'd had a rough life, and she knew that she was entitled to another one, right, as an adult. And so rather than wanting a better end of her story this lifetime, she chose to stay stuck and be what she was and had been. So again, everyone has a choice. Wherever you land on the big, I call it the big game board of life. Whatever little square you're on. If you're happy there, good job. If you're unhappy there, you're going to have to get connected, get motivated, get moving,
And
because you're the one with the
have that
feet.
locomotion from within, because
Yes.
no one's giving that to you. Let's
Nobody.
just for fun, just for curiosity's sake, what's your sort of Mount Rushmore of the telltale signs of the spiritual manipulation that we do see? I mean, everyone's trying to be a guru. Everyone's trying to be the next Jesus. Everyone's trying to save all the souls as long as you pay them, which stresses me out. That's so wrong. But
Now I like Mount
I
Rushmore.
can't remember how many. I'm trying to remember how many points to make for the Mount Rushmore for some Dallas public school system. Somebody help me.
I love it because I don't know which way to go. I like Mount Rushmore. Do I give you the bad traits or the good traits, Myra?
Well, what's something to like? I'll shout out one. Anytime somebody tries to say you were family in past life, you are a family now. I am a mother figure. I am a father figure, and you don't know him from Adam, right?
Right.
That's to me. That's a number one. That's a red flag.
Well, we do
Don't
see
give
that
that
a lot.
person your money.
Well, and I do see that a lot. And there are times where I do see connections in families where they have horrible, horrible relationships. And periodically I do. I've got a couple that come see, or not a couple, but two sisters that come see me, and they don't get along. And I said very specifically to the she's the youngest. I said, what is this axe to grind? Why is this continuing? I feel like you two probably had roles that were different. You're probably a mother and daughter, and now you're just kind of sabotaging it. Why don't you just meet your sister where you are, which is you're now sisters. And it doesn't matter what you were there. Clean up your act and go forward. If you want a relationship, make one. But don't
or
fight
don't
it.
have one,
Or don't
and
have
don't
one.
injure each other.
Right. Don't go after each other and create more harm. I do see that there are a lot of, that's one of the troublesome things.
And blood is powerful. So even
what's
to
that?
have blood is so powerful. So it's
It
like to
is.
have someone of your bloodline not wish the best for you. That there's impact there.
There is impact. Well, and so I'm told there's impact. Because again,
you wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't
would
really
you,
know
Terri?
about that stuff. I
You
come
mean
at
you're unsupported by your entire family for all of your life? That's wild.
I really don't get that. I mean, I don't have that. It's interesting. I don't have I'll call it the special something in place that really has worked on family this lifetime. Because
Yeah.
I don't see that. I don't adhere to a mother-father relationship or a grandparent relationship. I don't really adhere to even siblings. I mean, I do, care about my siblings, but I don't have a real reason to. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's good or bad. Really, it's kind of an indifference. So for me, it's not my go-to. I don't go and go, oh, look at you, you've got this and this. Periodically, it comes up where someone is their mother and they're someone's sister. But it's not so that we go in and throw monkey wrenches. It's more to say, listen, stop antagonizing your youngest sister. I don't care if you were her mother last go around. You're not her mother now. Do you see? I'm more apt to go from that angle and try to
anybody
make
that's
it.
sort of wanting or working at the lack of behalf or in the alternative of your benefit, we can just assume, and maybe this comes down to our belief system around everyone was a mother 8 million times, everybody was a child 8 million times.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That maybe that sort of defang that process of, well, if your mother wrongs you, oh my goodness, now you've got to deal with that for the rest of your life. It's like, well, that's probably happened the last 8 times.
Probably
this isn't necessarily the most unique thing.
Exactly.
But people do, we are human and we're having a human experience. That is hard.
It is
but
hard.
Don't get caught in it.
Well, and that's true.
And don't go look for a mother in someone saying she is one.
Exactly. And that's where I have to be careful, because I can come across as being callous, because I can be very matter of fact. And I guess matter of
Hmm.
factness could be considered opinion. But when people tell me how horrible their childhood was, and they are in their 50s and they're still, just, crawling through their day trying to get through it, I really am of the mindset where and I have said it before, sometimes maybe too submissively, but I've said, I've said, how many parents do you think you've had in the course of your existence and your soul?
Hmm.
You probably are on your 12th set at least. Why is
At
this one so
least.
important? Why is this one so important? People get so caught up in the one and done, like, oh my God,
Hmm.
I love that word, I will never have a happy childhood. Well, you don't know that. The last few may have been, perfect. You may have been the spoiled
Hmm.
child. Who knows? But when we get caught up on what we have, and we get stuck with it, and I mean, in the sense that we don't have any motion, any locomotion to change it, well, that's on that. Not you personally, but that's on you.
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely. Well, and that's
change it.
something I struggle with. You know what I mean? Like I can sit here and opine about like the greater gnosis of how to do this all, but the reality comes down to there are certain things about that thing. But you're so right. And it's a great reminder for me too to say, all right, well, and then what?
Right. And
Because
then
we
what?
recognize
And then what?
these circumstances are going to be brought every single time
Yep.
in some form or fashion.
And
You're going to, I mean, God bless, 2 weeks ago, this poor girl, her mother, and she and her mother sat with me, and it was her boyfriend and the mother's son, 24. But, and how do you say to somebody, I don't know how to say this, but he's actually, he's helping you clear some stuff because
yeah.
I felt that to be true.
Right.
So he was playing a role that was kind of impartial.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and so how in the world could you ever say that to a grieving or I mean whatever a widow girlfriend is, but
Widowed
and
girlfriend.
then a
Right.
mother who lost a child? Well, that's going to feel callous and really not helpful.
Well, and it will.
And yet that is true.
In the big picture, it certainly is. Now, again, I'm a mother, and anything ever happened to my kids, I would be completely devastated. But the realism here is that's when you have to hold firm to the belief system. If this is just another little step on the game of life, then I'll see you next go around. It's that sort of energy.
Mm.
Now, it doesn't mean that we're not human and we don't have human emotions, because I'll tell you, I'll be very upset as well. But realistically, the truth is the truth is the truth. If we believe in what we believe and we hold that as our truths, then it doesn't just get, turned to the left instead of to the right, because you're now experiencing it.
Yeah, well, and it's like, do you more often than not, if you're having to work with that energy now, because I have this weird, and maybe I'm wrong, but I have this belief system around the hardest point.
Hmm?
What do we expect from ourselves? It's not like we aced it the first time, most
Right.
likely, if it's showing up again.
Yep.
And so I always have that in my mind's eye, that checklist, that higher self
Yep.
with the clipboard, because if you can back up, if you can be detached and you say, all right, well, this happened. I can't bring my
Exactly.
son back. I can't bring
Right.
my husband back. All that is being logged
Yep.
now is how we behave ourselves after. Do we start to harm
Yes.
the ones around us that we love? Do we start to harm ourselves? Do
Mm-hmm.
we give up the process of living? Those all get logged. And that's probably
Right.
what we're working with from the
Yep.
past. And so that's a really confusing feeling because it's like, not only do you have to answer as a human, but you progress as a soldier. And
Yes.
you say, I
I love
got to
that
get
term.
through this.
Yes. Got to get through this. That's exactly right.
Mm.
Well stated. Well
And it's so
stated.
hard. It hurts my heart because I think about how often we've had to do that.
Well, and we
But
have. And again, we deal with so many situations. We are intuitive life coaches in a lot of what we do, because we are trying to help people to get from point A to point B. We're trying to help them to find that there is hope at the end of the rainbow, the hope at the end of the dirt road. We know that, we're not there just to create more suffrage. They've got enough of it. Most of our clients come to us not because they're just having a great day and life is spectacular. They're coming to
with
us
the
for
ones that sit
reasons.
down and they say, I just want to talk about work, it's almost like, God or source or my God, they're just like, let's just go then. And
Yeah.
we start pulling out. It's like they go for the jugular. It's like, well, let's
Yes.
talk about mom. Let's talk about this. Let's talk.
Right.
And so, I would like to just say, if you sit down with me and you say, I just want to talk about work, I guarantee you we're about to have a wild 30 minutes
Oh
because
yeah.
that's not the game that whoever
No.
works with me plays. You know
No,
what I
and
mean?
that's true. You
We
know,
want to help. We want to get to the meat and potatoes.
we do want to help. We get to meat and potatoes. We're not, one of the biggest slaps in the face, and I know it's all about risk. It's risk management. The biggest slap in the
Mm,
face for our profession is the little thing at the bottom of every disclaimer: for entertainment purposes only. Have you
mm.
ever seen that on some of the intuitive work? Or this is for entertainment purposes only. You know
Was it
what?
entertainment when your grandfather told you where to find that will?
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
that was that entertaining or was that helpful? Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
So,
I know. I
and
know.
again, we can't look at it because again, we're all in, human conditions. So we've got to have all these little nuances in place to keep us, out of hot water. Just like that's why everyone needs to know I'm a
Hut.
medical empath. Not a, yeah, hot. See, I'm saying it right.
I
It
was
took
like, who
me
are you and what is this?
61 years to say hot. It's supposed to be hot. I don't know what the world is saying it wrong for, but so we realize that yes, it might be entertaining to some, and if it is, woo, then let's have a party. But we recognize that we don't do this just because we think it's fun and games and we want to just play with with your emotions. We do this because we feel that there's something we can do to help you. Our world, your world, our worlds combined. Some spirit, some way. We're meant to collide. That's why you sit with us. We're meant to collide on some levels so that we can hopefully give you some words that maybe you hadn't thought of before you sat down.
Well, and we run the risk. Not only we commit basically social suicide
Yes.
potentially by doing
Yes.
this work, but more than that, we sit down with somebody and then we stand the chance of being hated based on the truths that we tell.
Yes, absolutely.
So there is
Absolutely.
not, I don't know where people are walking away from this feeling particularly like grand and great because if you're doing it well and you're doing it with humility and you're really telling the truth, oh my gosh, you kind of get murked by it. You know what I mean? Like that you're doing all the things the right way and you're doing them honorably. And then somebody can go say, well, she's probably charlatan. She's probably crazy because I
Right.
didn't like that. She told me that I should have ended my marriage 8 months ago, but I didn't. It's
Right.
like, that's hard. And then when you say something like, well, we're going to re-up this opportunity to make shifts in your life, i.e. you're about to be up for another divorce situation in about 6 months, then suddenly we get our flowers. But it's
Yeah.
only it's almost never in the moment. It's never,
Oh
you
no.
walk away saying, I hope I didn't hurt somebody, but realistically, it's like, well, I'm like you just said, you're just the messenger. We
Just the
are just the
messenger.
messengers.
We,
If you're
we
doing
hold
it right.
space. That's right. We'll hold space
Mm-hmm.
for messages to come through. And again, we stay in the light. We don't go dabbling in the darkness. We're not trying to
Mm-hmm.
dismantle you. Our messages are usually pure and simple, and they really do hopefully have a reflective role to play in your world. I had an
Well,
amazing. Oh,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say I had an amazing reading. I had a WhatsApp chat. I do a lot of those now. They're a lot of fun. Took me about 5 days to figure out how to do it, but that's because I'm old.
I'm here for it.
But I do a lot of WhatsApp chat. And yesterday was a really cool day because I got to speak to a lovely gal from France. And then right after that, I got on a chat to Mexico. And
Oh,
um,
wow.
and it was really cool because our chat, this was a very enlightened soul, very, very much so. And her family from the other side, they were like just, it was the most surreal experience. It was like going down the rabbit hole and being in the Matrix all at the same time.
Oh,
I
wow.
forgot at one point that I was talking to her because I was talking to all of her family on the other side,
Mm.
and it was so profound because I mean, her bless her heart, her sister was showing me this big scar on her arm and saying, "Yeah, it's just a scar now. It's okay," but she knows it's me, and thank you for remembering me today. And it was her sister
Oh.
who had unfortunately been in a very bad car accident, and when she passed, they had to sew her arm together, her right arm,
Oh my
and
gosh.
so she did have a long scar, and her
But
sister
in
was just
depth.
chatty, just going, "Look at this, it's all looking much better, and it's good."
Ah.
And thank you for remembering me. It was a birthday, and it was such it went beyond the typical connection then I got some of her ancestors that were very, very philosophical. And
Hmm.
so I'll tell you, I would have, if it would have been it never is my opportunity to take that information. I hear so many wonderful things when I can't keep them, you know.
Right.
But
Well,
it
and
was
that's, we don't keep it.
we don't. It was the most philosophical session I think I've ever had, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
truly the ground roots of what her belief systems were, you know. So it was really magnificent. So it goes hand in hand again to, you know, be a good listener. If you're trying to be an intuitive, you're trying to be a life coach, you're trying to make a difference, be a good listener to the spirit world. Go in there and have some confidence. Go dig that information up. Let them come to you. Get focused. Get in the center of it, because there's so much we can offer people when we're really when we're in the zone. You know,
Well, in the auto zone, no, I'm kidding.
out of zone.
I don't know why that,
I
but
don't want to think
I
of
try
auto
to
repair.
describe, right. What I try to describe to people who ask me it when they do, which is not that often because they just want the information. But imagine it's you taught me this more than anything, and then over time you feel it. It's like it's all communication, no matter what. So imagine either you try to be the best listener you can be, but even the other side is struggling maybe to do their job of communication. So you sit there and you sit in arrogance and you see an apple.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
then you say, well, I think Spirit's saying you need to eat more apples. Well, if you chilled out, right, and you waited for the further message, there could be more about, well, she's always on her Apple laptop. She's always working. Then suddenly you go down the timeline and now there's an illness because there's so much work. And suddenly the message is saying, you've got to live your life. You've got to relax. You've got to chill. But
Yes.
what you first initially saw was an apple.
Yeah.
Well,
Because it.
how can that be the starting point of a very different message than you just need to eat more apples?
So what you're
I
saying,
think that's
Sterling,
important.
what you're saying then, I want to make sure I understand it, that too many apples can make you sick.
It's one a day,
One a
right?
day.
One a day.
I love it. I love you.
I love you too. But you see how it's like the arrogance that would be. I
Yes.
overheard it,
Yes.
not recently, but nowhere that we work. And it was just this sureness. It was like, and this is the message, and this is what you need, and blah blah. Blah. And it's like, oh my God, that's so sure. Like, oh my goodness, you're not presuming perhaps that that there might be more of that message, but it's so divine that we have to sort of meet it where we are and try to bring it down to us because there is divinity there. It's like there's a humility to this process that should be present. Otherwise, you're gonna walk around thinking you're gonna call out the Powerball numbers, and guess what? It's just not gonna work that way.
No, it isn't going to work that way.
It never works
No.
that way.
No. But it's
And
so
they're gonna
funny.
tease you. They're gonna get you
Yeah.
close, and then
Exactly. But it's so funny too, because what you said, it reminded me of, there's times that we get such inspirational messages to share, to give, to give someone that extra elevation in their energy because they so much need it. That it's almost like now it's, how do I put it? It's like being on the best musical. You're like, and now this wagon
yeah.
for you. And you
And for the
feel
next
that.
act,
Yes. And
uh,
sometimes spirit does hits me like that because I'm very hyperactive in the
hmm
first place. And sometimes it's like, and there it is. And they're looking in my hands like, here.
there's
I'm
nothing
like,
there.
no,
Yeah.
right there. It's there.
In 8 months, don't
Yes.
miss it. Get
Right.
yourself into alignment.
Boom. you know,
So
let,
often, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, my dear.
Well, so often too, people disrespect time.
Yes.
When we go and say you join a cult, and you're like, I want the results now. I
Oh
just had this
boy.
thing where someone they're gonna move in about a year and a half. Well, where they are is not uninhabited.
Right.
There's time has to happen. Or even Iggy, who we know in New York, he's chomping at the bit to find his girl. His girl's not in New York yet.
Mm-mm.
So
Takes
so no
time.
matter where you look, we
Right.
can't disrespect time. Because guess
Exactly.
what? It more often than not, it's conspiring for you. And more often than not, when you try to change the timeline, you actually mess up the whole thing.
Yep, that's right. And anyone who's ever driven in New York knows it takes a long time to get from point A to point B.
But I will say this, it seems unfair because I do believe this. I believe that we are individuated droplets of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
How it seems really unfair that if God has this knowingness and desire to change as he goes. Now we're in this density where we remember, hey, we should be able to change all this. And then time says, you got to wait for me too. There's a
Yep.
lot of restriction there.
Well, there
We
is
got
a
to get
lot of
used to that.
restriction. And that's true because, again, we're looking at as time as being what we recognize as the 24-hour cycle of the day. Our time doesn't have really any comparison to what it is in the spiritual realms. So we're in the slow clock. We're on the long time.
Interesting.
And so it feels longer because it is a process. It's a human time clock. It's a human system. So the spirit world's like, hey, you're going to get there. Stop rushing it. Because spirit is also, remember, eternal. So, there's no shelf life. So here we're like, come on, I'm not getting any younger. Get me where I need to go. I need you to do this for me now. But theoretically, maybe it's jump starting the next life. Maybe you're going to hit the ground running when you're 5 next go around. And this time you're going to chug along to your 85, still not understanding.
Well, so this brings the curiosity about that. What you said. You said, well, maybe it's not meant for this version.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we toe? Because we recognize that, but where do we toe that sort of like apathy or nihilism that could say, oh well, this is my 800th life. Nothing I do here matters. Because I could see that being a pitfall.
Well, and that's true. It could be a pitfall, but there's always going to be a pitfall in the human condition, right? Think about it that way. We're always balancing. Yes, we balance the scales, but we kind of jump really like a trampoline on the negative side sometimes. And so, you really can't do anything about that. Because there's always the other side of the coin. And so you're kind of, I don't want to say limited because that's a very short-sighted word to use as limited. It's just when you give that kind of energy information out and you get a response of that, you just kind of have to remind them that, yes, I'm not saying that we're reading from the back of the book. We still have to move forward through these chapters, right?
Yeah.
This is a good book. It's only as good as you let it be. You're writing the chapters.
And that's a beautiful perspective too, because it's like, all right, then if you want to just act like everything's predestined, you don't have to care, blah blah blah, then you just get to walk through a story that's already written for you, and you get to behave honorably or not. Because if you're just saying I have no writing potential in the story, then at least you get to go through it either proudly or we look back on it in regret. Right. And so, I think that there was somebody in one of the discords a while ago, and man, I kept, saying all these fears. Oh my gosh, our souls are trapped. Oh my gosh, the evolution process is not good for us. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I thought, and there was so much desire for answer. Right. I thought, all right, here's what I know, what I think I know. Mm-hmm. What I arrogantly will say I know because I do have faith, but we still don't know. And I always joke and I would say, wouldn't it be hilarious if I die and there's nothing and then I spent all this time talking about it? And I make that joke because I want people to know I don't feel married to this. I think it's true. I've seen enough to believe it to be true. That's right. But I could wake up dead tomorrow and be like, oh my God, I spent so much time talking. Why couldn't I just booze and drink and do nothing, But no, so we don't know, but I'm going to have faith in certain things. With that said, it's like we can articulate and say, well, maybe there is a power that's above us, the archons, the watchers, if you go scripturally. It's like, okay, but guess what? Here's the framework that I think I know, and here's the rules I'm going to play by. And if I'm getting bamboozled, they've already got me.
They already got you.
I'm not going to, if there's a trick here, I've been tricked.
Right, you're already ensnared.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and just know the walls aren't real. Right. Because there's a potential there's not. I'm going to not hit the walls because I've got to believe something. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Don't, crucify me and nobody should feel that they have to answer those answers. It's like, you could have the highest ordained minister and you can drill him into a wall to a point of him having to say he doesn't know, because that's the crucible we all wear. We don't get to know.
It is. We don't get to know. But that's right.
but then you just get to wake up out of that conversation and feel more lost than you started. How is
Yes.
that comforting? How is that good for you, for anybody else?
And exactly. I mean, we can look at it from all different, sides of this coin, and then again, even further into it. There is no absolute answer here. There is nothing that we can go and say, listen, we've taken the test, we've gotten the certificate, the diploma's in the mail. We know for a fact that these things are real, that these are
You know,
the
it's so funny.
processes, the steps.
Enoch's the only one who has that certificate that says, I was
Yes,
there.
I know, that's true.
I came back.
Yeah, we're
Other
going
than
to become
him,
better
we
friends,
don't got
Enoch and I.
anything. Why?
Because I want to know about that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, you've been working with him? No, I was
No, I
just
haven't.
so little.
Well, as much as I can. Enoch's energy is very, very, very strong to me, and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work well with my energy. So I'm
You know,
like,
I just found out too. You know, I'm gonna mess up the words. You're gonna in Mexico, Tenochtitlan.
well, so far I don't know what it is. So you're not messing up mine.
I can
Tenochtitlan.
spell it. It's that like it's all the pyramids. Enoch's in that title.
Yes, I know what you're talking
I
about. I
didn't
don't know.
know that.
He's in there. Well,
That's
he's not locked
wild to
up.
me.
He's not
No,
really
no, no,
locked up.
but you know, nobody ever, we
No,
don't think about that
no,
name, and it's like, oh my God, that's the main part of that word,
right.
and it's such a spiritual hub. How curious.
Very curious. Very good. And
Where
you
he
can
leaves his
call it the
mark.
teeth spot. Now, no, that's not a good word for it either. That's a woo. No, we'll just call it the TH, whatever that word is, spot.
Yeah, but
I know what you're talking about, though.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
but anywho, sorry, sidebar, and you know, I
No,
love
no,
him
I
so
like
much.
that. What? It's warm. Am I the only one that's like sweating to death lately? I mean, I
I
sit
feel
in the.
warm too right now.
Are you
Maybe because we're
warm?
talking about this. I am right now, just suddenly, but
Yeah, it's just I don't know if spirit's heating us up or it's like it's because it's 90 degrees outside already and it's
yeah,
barely
it's the deal
morning.
with the A with the B.
I know it's true. I want to kind of circle the wagon for a minute because I
Yes.
do feel that we've got enough viewers and listeners now that I don't want them to have a sour taste in their mouth about what I said about activation. Because I know
Mm.
plenty of people are in the process of either being activated or being the applier. If your heart's in the right place and your goal is to help someone to feel empowered, and this empowerment takes them on a path that they can follow, something that they have an understanding of, something that they have a bit of homework for, that they can see and apply in their own way when you're not sitting across from them, then I applaud you. I want you to empower every single soul, activate every single soul that you can come into contact with. But if this activation process is an ego-based process of I'm going to make money by waving my magic wand, and everybody I know, whether they've been depressed or lost or lonely or drug addicted, they are now activated and they are
Mm-mm.
happy and healthy, then I have a problem with you. So please, if you fall into the wrong category, pick yourself up, get yourself clean, and get back into the rhythm of doing good work for people. If you are one that has a good intention and your heart's in the right place, I applaud you. You can activate me. I'll stand there with my gold star. I'm happy to apply. But there's a responsibility in all that we offer. And that's where I come from when it's being activated. There, I feel better about
And
that.
to that point, no, and to that
Yes.
point, because I'm going to go into a little bit of responsibility for the practitioner. It's like we can preach to the receivers, but bear this in mind fully because this is so important to me. And this is a lot of why I do less with my hands, so to speak, energetically. When we change, because right, we are guided and we are, how you say, shackled to the rules that protect everyone's free will. We
Yes.
are in spirit, those that work in spirit. So
Yes.
it's like when you put your hands on someone's timeline and you shift it, good or bad, because it would be arrogant to think that you know how that's going to turn out. You now have that on your paperwork, right? Because if you
Yes.
die and you submit your paperwork, do you want just your stuff? Imagine somebody else's credit on your paperwork. You have to be mindful to say you activate somebody, you do a soul retrieval for somebody,
Yes.
stabilize their chakras as though that's something that another person can do for someone else. And you do all this, right? And we can try, we can help support it,
Right.
but now you bear that. And that's one thing too with you when you said, even people who are misguided to say, well, I'll do a meditation. I'll bind you in white light. Uh-uh. Because now you've participated in,
Can't bind
yanking someone's free
anybody.
will.
That's right.
No, and should
Binding
and
is
should you
dangerous.
try, even if you're saying I'm going to bind this person away from addiction, guess what? We get punished when we take someone's free will.
We do get
So
punished.
at your own risk. And that's one of the reasons why, I mean, if not, one of the first reasons why I came to feel that there was a benevolency to this process, because that wouldn't be protected if it weren't.
Right. Well, and that
And it
makes
is.
sense. Makes a lot of sense. Now, again, along the same guidelines, when someone comes to you and says, please clear my root chakras, please clear all my chakras, please help me do this. Well, again, we're holding space for energy
Yeah.
that is more a spirit energy that works with them to come forward and to do it. There's nothing that I am doing as the Terry groom in my energy that's going to go in there and clean them out. I don't have a mop and a broom and a dustpan. The spirit world is going to go through into if that's what needs to be happened.
It sort of feels like, when you see a stray and you provide it food and water, but you can't trap it because it's not yours.
Right.
That's to me what I think, and that's not something that I have experience with, but when we do when we participate in that, and when we train, how many times in the world did I just sit there and have my hand on somebody and in my mind be thinking, am I doing this right? Is this meditation? Because you're not, and I'll never forget that when we share, this was so weird. We were healing an individual, we were working with them, and the guides showed us that their spine was just being wrapped. They left, you and I conversed, and I said, why there wasn't healing really going on? It just felt like I just saw them wrapping the spine. And you said, well, her husband came through. She's not long for here. So it wouldn't have made sense for you and I to have been doing healing necessarily.
Right.
So we were supporting because she's on her way out.
Yes.
That's that part that we don't know.
That's
It's
right.
like, thank God that someone else said, yeah, she's on her last 5. We'll just make this more comfortable. You and I could sit there and we'll be sweating bullets and trying to change the world. It's like, no, we don't have to.
Don't
You know what I
have
mean?
to.
We don't. God love us. We just got to be there because we're soul bearing
Yes,
individuals. That's our benefit.
absolutely. Right. And it is a responsibility. It's not just all fun and games. It is a big responsibility. It's one that comes from love. And however it feels or comes to the person doing it. We hear the word love, 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 love all the time. But what does that really mean to you? When you have a care for another person, we can call that love. If you truly have an interest in helping humanity, then we can call that love. When you truly care to take care of yourself as you're doing all these other things for them, we call that love. So there's a lot of good things that can come from our efforts when we apply the biggest part of it, which is care and love.
And intention.
Intention, yes. So, my dear, are we going into cults or are we going to wait on cults? What's the cult idea?
Ooh. Let's save that one for next time. And I do, because I think that, well, we can kind of dangle it a little bit.
Okay.
We recognize that there's a lost feeling here all the time because none of us know what we're doing.
Right.
But in spirituality or in anything metaphysical where nothing can really be proven, right? Then you get yourself in a bind when someone has all those answers.
Yes. Ooh, boy, that sounds like a wonderful segue to cults. Ooh, I'm going to throw a little teaser in there along that segue. A cat is a cat. A cat doesn't have to tell you it's a cat because a cat will do cat-like things. A cat will stretch and a cat will yawn and a cat will sit in the window because it likes the sun. A cat is just simply a cat because it is a cat. It doesn't have to prove to you it is.
Oh my gosh, and it will beckon.
Yes.
As cats do.
As cats do. So that'll give you food for thought as well, something to chew on.
Cats.
We love cats. And there is a deeper meaning, obviously. And so maybe that's something to reflect on.
If the cat says you should isolate from your friends and family, maybe or the cat says, I need some of your resources. Maybe we should be mindful of that cat.
Maybe so, because the cat doesn't usually do that, right?
Not really,
Mm.
right?
You
Yeah.
know, that's exactly true. One thing I had a dear friend of mine tell me the other day, and I love this, and this will kind of dig just one step further, get you all excited about the next episode. She said, it's interesting because I love shamanism and I love the belief systems that shamans have. And I said, I love it too. I know enough to teach classes, but it's not all of my forte. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I'd love to at some point. I probably will. But it's very important to me. She said it is to me as well. She said, I have a good friend who's a shaman. And I asked him one day, I said, so do you call yourself a shaman? And he said, why would I need to?
Ooh.
Don't I do shaman like things? Isn't my life showing proof? Why would I have to speak it if I'm not living it? What good
That's
is
so
it?
true. So, well, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. And two things that just popped in my head was there's a can or not a can a health bar from Austin, and on the label it says blessed by a shaman, which I love. I thought that was so funny.
I love
Um,
that. I love it. And it's okay for other people to feel connected on that level. But
mhm,
theoretically, again, a cat is a cat. A shaman is a shaman. There is no need to display it. I do not need to go display what I am. You do not need to go display. We are life coaches. Yeah, we have titles because you have to know what we do for a living, right? But the realism here is if you're not exhibiting the authenticity of what you are, if you're not showing, you're not living, you're not providing that as just proof enough, then maybe you need to take a
mhm.
step back and not call yourself that.
And figure out maybe what you are more authentically, because that's always a good
It's
exploration.
always a good idea. It goes back to the thoughts of Jesus. He didn't walk around going, I'm a badass. Look at me. I'm going to save the world.
Right. Oh man. And it's weird that you bring it. Well, so this past weekend or this past week, I went on a bike ride,
Hmm?
and halfway through, I just stopped and I did a lower world meditation, which is the first time I've done it since you and I trained.
Very
And I had the
cool.
most successful weekend of like just spot on.
Good.
And so it's another note to self of like, oh yeah, you should do more homework. You'll be better at what you do.
One must always practice.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've
sometimes,
been getting back into that.
yeah, and sometimes the practice isn't about becoming a better listener, being a better this or that. It's just about sitting in spirit and letting the downloads flow.
Mhm.
And
And
that's
thank you again. I
important.
want to say, your teachings around guide work, which if you're listening, episode 2 is really jam packed with information about that and guides, because I know that a lot of people question that. But it was really, really cool because I used to wonder, when I walked around and learned that information, I used to wonder, how did Terri feel when she was checking that information? And it was the first time I got to feel that, where I got to say, I would ask questions and then she would answer, but they would answer it for me because guides don't really work so closely with us.
Mm-hmm.
That was so cool.
It is
This is
cool.
neat. I felt like I was working together for the greater good of this other person's faith in
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Yes, that
That
is
was dope.
that is a task that we are all given. Some choose to take it, some choose not to, and that's okay. I'm not judging those that don't. Simply is if you're going to step into that energy, you have to go with both feet.
Well, listen, next week we're doing cults. And
Yes.
also in that same vein, this is kind of separate, but did you know all of the serial killers, like all the ones we know, Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, Virgo.
Oh no.
And that's all you and me.
Yeah, it's our inner
That's our
circle.
stuff.
Woo!
So
Well,
so
the
funny.
realism here is it is there isn't any. Yeah, you're right. Well, we're going to let that one ride. But that's kind of startling. Yes.
I am curious. I'll look it up and I'll bring the information next time. I wonder what the majority of the cult leaders are, because
That would
there's a
be really
charisma there,
interesting.
but there's a desire to change the world and arrogance to change the world,
Right.
but the
And
ability to convince others, oh,
you're right,
powerful.
when you start getting really good at what you do, there is an arrogance that you have to be very careful of because that can build. And
Hmm.
I've tried hard. I tell my guides, if I become arrogant or flippant about what I do, you take my gifts away from me, which I don't want them to do, right?
No.
So I'm like, no, don't take them away. So if I become that, then take them from me because I don't want to be here doing it the wrong way. I'd rather
Mhm.
do something wholesome or choose another path. And so,
Would not
yes,
do
I
it.
could see. And I'm a Gemini. Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's
You said
well,
serious. Oh boy,
oh
Brian's
yeah,
workout. Woo!
and oh yeah, right. Well, and to, I always say, and I think I've said it on here before, my guides already know that I am arrogant and prone to pride. And so one of the reasons I'm sure that my stuff comes so uncertainly is to allow me to still do this and to not fall in that pit hole. So isn't that so beautiful that instead of saying, no, you've got issues with arrogance, you've got issues with pride, we won't work with you. Instead, they just say, we're going to work with you and we're going to make sure that you're uncertain all the time.
That's
So they
right.
work with, so they work with our flaws and they say, nah, you don't have to be
Yes,
perfect. We're just going to make it hard.
right. Well,
And maybe it
that
would
makes
be
sense.
easier,
Yes,
but I love them for it because it's
I
like,
do
no.
too.
I don't got to show up sober and perfect and doing everything ideal. I just got to try and be honest and they'll keep working with us.
That's right. You're so funny. But
Mm.
show up sober at events that you have to
Oh, of
try.
course. No. But I mean, like a lifestyle where
I
it's like,
know.
we see those
I'm
people. I
teasing.
gotta wear white. I gotta be a vegan, which more power to you for sure, because there's health benefits there. But it's hard. It's a
It
hard
is
standard to
hard.
hold.
It's very hard to live a human existence. We do our best,
Oh
right?
yeah.
That
I
way we
think we
all
do a
can
good
get the
job,
gold
Terry.
star when it's all done. I'm going to get some gold stars. I've used that term enough times today that I need to go do that.
Oh, I love it.
I'm
I
teaching
love
a
you so
class
much.
tonight. I love you so much
What
too.
class?
I'm teaching automatic drawing and writing in Richardson in Talikia,
Oh.
where the center that I
Hmm.
have my office in. And I am doing it tonight at 7. It's going to be fun. We have a blast. It's one of my, I say this, it's one of my favorite classes to teach because they all are.
Yes,
But
that's
it's going to
true.
be, there's ways to look at automatic writing to really get to the point of of the paper rather than to the
Hmm.
redundancy of reading 2 pages every week, every day. Okay, I've written that. That's a lot to read. Finding the
Mm.
messages within the messages. So we're going to have fun tonight. I'm looking forward to that.
I love it.
It's going to be
Well, and
awesome.
I'm going to, as always, list below how to reach either of us.
Yes,
And,
please reach us. I hear that we've got 1 or 2 listeners now. I'm so excited. You 1 or 2
I am
matter.
too. I know. And even we just got a comment the other day saying, it's kind of like giving an opinion. And I just said, I love this
Good.
because that is, we love the opinions. We love the
Yes,
different opinions. Like,
we do.
again, we don't believe that we're right more or all the time. We just believe that we've seen, no, sorry. We just believe that we've seen enough of a narrative to make concise statements. But if you've
Overall,
had this
yes.
different experience, oh my
Yep.
gosh, we want to hear about it. And
Right.
we honor it. We
Right.
recognize it's not always the same.
No, and that's exactly true. And if you ever come to me thinking that I'm going to recite some of the most incredible tablets or texts of the past, you got the wrong person. Because I do come at it
Hmm.
more from love than wisdom. I do not read metaphysical books, even though I'm going to write
I
one. I
love
do
that.
not read them because not that I think that my opinion is the only one that matters, but I don't want to get sidetracked into information
Other
that I
beliefs.
can't unsnare later. Yeah. So I
You
just
you
don't.
don't want to fall into a cult
No cults for me.
unless we start one.
Unless we
Then cults are
start one.
good.
Oh gosh, no,
If
let's
it's
not
our
do
cult,
that.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Because
But we
when we
love
do, it'll be
you,
the best, right? It'll be the
and we'll let you
best.
know where to meet us and
Yes.
what Kool-Aid flavor.
Yes. I love orange. I'm a big orange fan.
Okay, I didn't know that. Good to know.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love
No,
you.
people, do not go get orange Kool-Aid and try something stupid.
And don't listen to people who want you to
No,
and tell
don't
you
do
pay for it.
that. It's never designed for you to drink the Kool-Aid. Exactly.
To go super woo woo, the Kool-Aid is within.
Woo! Whoa, Kool-Aid is within. I like that. I want to get a t-shirt. Kool-Aid is within.
Oh my God, I would get that for us. That would be so funny.
That would be a little creepy though. I could hear some lewd person on the street go, "Oh yeah, look at that." I'd be like,
Well,
so
we are going to meet back next Monday,
next
Pulse,
Monday,
and we're gonna kind of dig into why why they have our draw, why they are so powerful all the time, because they're so
cults.
here now.
They're here
Mm-hmm.
now. They're becoming more popular, and they're
And they're
becoming
getting covered in new names.
yes, that's exactly right. They're getting really powerful because they are using keywords just like you do in your resume when you want a job, right? You put keywords in and you get everybody's attention. They are becoming more specific and they're becoming much more dangerous. So, yeah, we're gonna have to open that can of worms too.
I'm so here for it because it is
Me too.
important.
It
And at least
is.
if we speak it into the truth, we speak life into the truth, the people that need to hear it will find us. That's always my belief.
Absolutely. That's right. And I will bring my can opener with me because it is going to happen.
It is.
Oh
Let's
my
do it.
gosh.
I
We
love
did.
you. We
I
have
love
done it.
you. Can I say it? We've done it. Woo! That's what happens when you get no sleep and you get all excited about life. You get
And we
crazy.
are.
We
We
are.
remain pretty excited about life. That's a win.
That
That's
is
a
a
net
win.
win.
It's always a win.
Because life is hard. We get that too.
That's right. Life is hard. It's okay.
All right.
You know what? We're all in the same boat, doing the same paddle. And that's okay.
100%. And sometimes we lend our paddle because some
We
people
do.
need it.
I
We
know.
gotta take a breather. But
Sounds good to me.
we won't ask anything of you. Give me your paddle and your paddle and your paddle and paddle me to the finish line.
That's right. Just keep it going forward. Oh, and also, my dear lovely, we've got to mention that if the viewers and listeners have questions, they need to
Yes.
ask them. They need
And
to ask questions if we can help. I mean, I know you're out there. I got all your text messages 7 days a week. I know you're there with a question. What do you want?
And we'll have it as questions come in, we'll reinstate that segment where we answer them.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
We'll take care of our people.
Do take care of our people. That's exactly right. It's interesting. Keep hearing a funny name, and I have no idea. It's not a funny name, because if your name is Marge, you're not thinking it's funny. I just heard Marge, wake up. You're late for work.
Oh, no.
So, Marge, if you are sleeping.
Marge hears it.
Isn't that funny?
That's hilarious.
Oh, my God. I love the way spirit works. So,
well, I love you.
I love you, too. Have a magnificent, wonderful, unyielding? No, we want a yielding. What? What's the
untroublesome?
Untroublesome day. Woo!
And I hope you have a great class. And we will talk next week about Pulse.
Yes. Yes.
Meet us there.
Meet us there.
I love you.